Life Management Science Labs would like to acknowledge that we live and produce this podcast on the traditional lands of the Wurundjeri people. We'd also like to acknowledge the traditional owners of the lands of our listeners and our international colleagues. We'd like to thank and pay our respects to their elders, past, present, and emerging. Hello everyone and welcome to Work in Progress, the Personal Productivity Science Insights podcast produced by LMSL, the Life Management Science Labs. We are champions of life management science, providing structured insights informed by science and inspired by practice on key aspects of conscious living. Each week, we bring you scientific and practical insights on each element with the expert knowledge of professionals in the field. Let's get started.
Hey guys, and welcome back to another episode. Now, you've had me as the host for productivity for the last few weeks now while we get our new host used to how we work in the company. But I'm very excited to say that we are now welcoming our new host for the Personal Productivity Show, Joahanna Wickramaratne. How are you going today?
Hey, I'm good, thank you. Excited to be here.
I know, I'm very excited that you're finally taking over.
Yeah.
And you're finally running both of your shows now, both productivity and resilience.
Yeah.
So tell me a bit about how you sort of getting along in the company and sort of the process that sort of came across when you started joining us.
Yeah, I mean, when I first joined, I think there was a lot to take in. It's so different from anything I've done before, but like meeting everyone and just getting settled in, like it's just been so great. And now I feel like I understand the processes a bit more and it just feels really comfortable. So yeah, it's been great.
No, I'm really glad. And I think Gabriella, who was taking over the host, she's sort of the manager for us podcast hosts here. So she was really good. And, you know, she kept telling me how excited she was about finally having someone to take over the shows and also like being a mentor to someone new as well. So it's really nice to sort of have you on and take you on as little baby of the show.
She's fabulous. She's like helped so much. Yeah, so it was really great having her.
Okay, so we are going to go and play a little get to know you and introduce yourself and sort of the hobbies and things, and just for the audience to get to know you as well. I think it's really important.
Yeah, of course.
Okay, so we're going to play what we do with the guests and sort of get you used to doing it as well. So just say the first thing that sort of comes to your mind when I ask you these different questions.
Okay.
And it can be anything. Anything, the first thing comes to mind.
Okay, perfect.
So the first one is a favorite book of yours.
I would say the one I'm reading right now. So I'm currently reading I'm Glad My Mum Died by Janet McCurdy.
Okay.
Yeah, so I'm only like a few chapters in, but it's so good so far.
That is on my to-read list.
Highly recommend.
Everyone's been saying that I love that it sounds so dramatic when you start reading it, and then you don't even realize how, she's not someone that you really see struggle in life. She's not a person that you really saw going through a lot, but she went through a lot.
Yeah, exactly. And you don't really get to see like the behind the scenes of like an actress or like someone famous in their life and like how they've grown up and how they got to being famous. Mm-hmm. So it's just been so captivating reading like her going to auditions, like how her mum is and all of that stuff. Like it's just been so cool.
Yeah, no, it sounds incredible. And I've had the Goodreads list of things that I really need to buy.
Yeah.
And that's definitely like one of them. But there are so many that I think TikTok has also made me want to buy.
Oh my God.
So there is a lot on the list that I now have to find time for.
Yeah, I try to stay away from like TikTok lists of books to read because I feel like everyone's reading them and I want to be like quirky and unique. But I just could not stop myself from buying this because I went onto Goodreads and I was reading all like the comments and the reviews and everyone was like, you have to read this. It's so good. So I was like, fine.
Yeah, you fell into that for a bit.
Yeah, and I literally went to like 5 different bookstores to find it.
It's not everywhere.
Yeah, I know. They've like sold out everywhere.
And that's what happens when it's so popular.
That's what happens when it becomes TikTok famous.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So the next one is your favorite movie.
I have to say Harry Potter, and I've said it like twice already on the show, but it's undoubtedly my favorite movie. Mm-hmm. But if I had to pick like another one, it would be Twilight.
Yep.
Yeah.
Okay.
Classic.
Yeah, we've talked about this, I think, just before we started recording. And we're talking about the whole franchise and just how insane how insane we sort of saw it as a kid and then seeing it again as we're an adult.
Yeah.
It's so different.
It is so different. I remember watching it as a kid and there was so much I did not understand, probably because I wasn't supposed to be watching it. Yeah. But now I watch it and I'm like, wow, like it makes so much sense. And I feel like people just diss it a lot as a movie because they're like, oh, Twilight, like whatever. But it's actually really good. Yeah. In my totally unbiased opinion.
No, totally unbiased.
Yeah, totally.
I'm gonna have an emotional attachment
I'm
to
objective.
a movie. Yeah, exactly. We're scientific. We can look at things analytically.
Yeah, of course.
No, I think it was funny because when growing up, I was never allowed to see it. But then when New Moon came out, my mum actually snuck me and my sister in to watch it in the theater.
Oh my God, that's so
And that was the first time like Jacob took his shirt off and all of that. And I was like, I'm like 14.
But I'm hooked.
Yeah. And this girl's like screaming in the seats ahead of us. It was so funny.
Wow, that's dramatic.
And people were just in love with the whole idea of him taking his shirt off for a second. I mean, it's Jacob though.
You can't complain.
No, exactly. Like a 14-year-old, I didn't understand. It's sort of watching that as a 25-year-old now. Yeah. I'm like, okay, yeah, I see its point. Yeah. I see the reason why it's fun. So the next one is a favorite podcast that you have.
I would say there's true crime podcasts that I love. Mm-hmm. One that I haven't been listening to it like recently, but Red Handed is a really good one. It's on like Spotify, Apple Podcasts as well. Mm-hmm. It's pretty much everywhere, but it's such a good podcast. It's one of the first podcasts I actually started listening to. Oh, wow. And that was in my first year of uni. And because I would take the bus from home to uni and that would be like almost an hour. Mm-hmm. So I had nothing to do. So I would just sit on there and listen to like an entire episode. It was so good. Yeah. Yeah.
Why are podcasts about crime and thrillers so interesting?
I could not tell you. I think it's just like, it's so bad, but just like how things unravel and unfold and you get like, you're just so surprised by like what people are capable of in this world. Yeah. So
the funniest thing for me is the fact that I get scared watching horror movies. Yeah. But I can sit and listen and watch a true crime thing come on and not feel a thing.
Oh yeah, exactly.
It's so weird. I'll fall asleep to it. Yeah. And then I watch a horror movie and I can't sleep for days.
Oh, no, I'm the same. I watched Evil Dead Rise the other day and I did not watch a single bit of it. I was just like head in my arms the entire time. I was so scared, but I'll just be hooked on like a true crime podcast. I think it's because I can't see what's happening, so it's better.
Yeah, but the fact that it's real life sort of adds, you should have added that sort of suspense to it, but it doesn't.
No, I'm like, okay, cool.
It's like, cool, you cut his arm off. Okay.
Great, tell me more.
Watched one episode of Jeff Dahmer and then I'm like, I'm dying.
Yeah, no, that was too much. Yeah.
Now, the next one is a famous role model that you currently sort of see.
Oh, I feel like my role models constantly change. It's more like who I'm like reading about or who's like in the news and I've seen like something they've done that's really great. Mm-hmm. I would say Emma Watson, and I've said this before, but I came across an Instagram post by her like a couple weeks ago and it was her 30-something birthday, I think, 30th birthday maybe.
Oh, wow. Okay.
And she made this massive post about like how far she's come from like the Harry Potter movies, all the different things she's tried in her life and failed and succeeded at the same time. Mm-hmm. And she's a businesswoman, she's an actress, she's an a activist as well, and it's really inspirational, especially being like so much younger than her, seeing how she's like gone through like her 20s into her 30s now.
Yeah,
very cool.
It would be especially interesting the fact that you're just entering your 20s as well, and you're sort of facing that sort of grown up sort of world that you're now, you didn't see when you're like teenager. I feel like it's so different when you're talking about a teenager and then looking into people who are a lot older than you, and then you're sort of coming into that ages where you're similar to them and sort of having to face similar things.
Yeah, exactly. Because like, for example, you get to being 16 or 18, like those milestones, and you're like, wow, I wish I had someone or something that could have given me tips like before getting here, and I wouldn't have made some of those mistakes, or I would have done more of, you know, whatever you wanted to do. Mm-hmm. And having like role models who are older than you, especially like a lot older, it's a really great like point of not comparison, but a way of sort of just learning as you grow older as well.
Yeah, I think for me, especially when it comes to Emma Watson, I love how she still went ahead and got her degree. Like she still went and studied. Yeah. Even on top, all the things that she knows that she'll be known for. Like she's still, she'll still be seen around the campus. She'll still be exposed to all these students who would know who she is.
Yeah.
But she's still like, okay, I want to get a degree. I want to study. I want to keep learning. So she still did that. Even like, you know, people avoid paparazzi. People avoid all the fans that are coming around her. But she's still like, okay, I still want to study. I still want, and I think that is probably one of the things that I really admired about her as well. Like you still see photos of her on campus studying, but she's just there to study.
Yeah, of course. Like she didn't let like her celebrity status stop her from doing like all the things that she wanted to do.
Exactly. No, she's a really cool role model.
Yeah.
So the last one is a favorite course that you've completed.
I would say probably the course I'm studying right now. I haven't completed it, but getting there. I'm doing design and journalism at the moment, and I would say my journalism degree has been so enlightening, and it's just been so cool reading and watching and doing assignments about the industry. I'm currently doing one about audio journalism, which has been very interesting and very fitting for this podcast.
Yes, and you're perfectly studied for this.
Exactly. I'm a professional, but it's been just so interesting learning about it, but then also seeing it being like executed in real life, for example, here in this studio. Yeah, no,
it's a lot of fun. I mean, this is why we hired her. She's like the perfect fit for the job. And I think like, especially when it comes to the two shows which you're doing, which is productivity and resilience, there is so much scope for learning something. Like especially when I was sort of taking over productivity for a bit, there was so much that I learned that I didn't know, like time management, blocking out times, blocking up hours, and sort of to help your mindset, do like 30 minutes studying and then 15-minute break in between. So that was something that like, it was very interesting to learn a whole lot more about it than I thought I ever would.
Yeah.
So I think productivity is the one that you would learn the most with.
Yes, for sure.
So yeah, I'm very excited to see how you take on the two shows.
I'm so excited for it.
So productivity, you're going to be hosting this for however long. You're going to be looking after this show. It's pretty much going to be your baby.
Yeah.
So how would you define productivity personally?
To me, productivity is the ability to complete a bunch of different things at the same time. I'm big on like multitasking, so I look at productivity as sort of the ability to multitask, but effectively. It's about looking at everything you have to do and completing it efficiently and effectively, not just doing it for the sake of doing it. So it's about looking at quality, I think. That's what productivity is for me. Yeah.
No, that's a really good definition. It was so different to how I first defined it as. I kept telling guests on the show that it's pretty much like a checklist that you're checking things off and making sure you get it done.
Yeah.
But it's so much more broad than that.
Yeah.
And I didn't realize when I sort of took on the show, there was just so much that I didn't know. It was very interesting. And like we talk about so many things from like budget, time management, procrastination, which is something that I should have taken that episode over because that was insane.
Yeah.
But what's a few things that you really hope to learn from the show?
Well, like obviously talking to experts, you're going to learn so much. So I'm hoping to learn even just new tactics that I can take on as an individual talking to different people. So yeah, as much as it is to help like the audience watching these, it's like going to be really helpful for myself as well because productivity is something I value a lot. Yeah.
Oh, that's good. This is why you're the host now.
Perfect.
So what's something that you are really looking forward to talking about? Like if you've had a look at some of the topics so what's one thing that you're really looking forward to discussing?
Well, you've mentioned procrastination. I hope I get a chance for it to come up in some form. But procrastination is something I struggle with. I'm very excited to be able to talk about it and just have a conversation with someone who knows a lot about it and just dive right into it. Because you can Google procrastination, you can Google skills, you can talk to your friends about it, but I don't think you get to talk to professionals about procrastination very often.
I think there was one episode, I forgot whether I was hosting this one or not, but there was one episode in particular where you're talking about your brain and how it really affects procrastination and how your brain is just so stuck on things that you do like that it will never do things that you don't like.
Yeah.
And that's where the procrastination kicks in. So it's not really procrastination. It's just your brain saying that you don't want to do this.
Yeah.
So it was I was like, okay, so if I'm procrastinating doing an assignment, it means I don't really want to do it.
Yeah.
But I know I have to.
Yeah, that's actually a really great way of explaining it, because that is exactly what I feel, but I don't think I would have been able to say it in the way you just said it. Because like when I'm doing like an assignment, I'm like, okay, I really can't be bothered doing it. But it's not because I hate the assignment. I just genuinely don't want to do it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's your brain saying a way to take a break, which is always like, I think it's taking too much of a break sometimes.
Yeah, no, because I'll like put aside 2 hours to do my assignment. It's been like an hour and a half. I've just been on my phone. Yeah. I've gone to get snacks like 10 different times.
Doing one reading is a struggle.
It
Just
is
reading one
so
article.
hard. It's so hard. I'll read a sentence and I'll be like, okay, time to like reward myself for that.
Go get a snack.
Yeah. Literally.
I'm like, okay, 1 page, 1 snack. 1 page, 1 snack.
Yeah, my dog will come into my room and then I'll be like, oh, there we go.
So much work.
Loophole. Yeah.
So talking about productivity, what's something that you are sort of struggling with in terms of being productive and also like holding yourself accountable for them?
I think I'm just so easily distracted, like we were just talking about. Yeah. And I just find it so hard because I tell myself all the time, like, you get so easily distracted and you just can't hold your attention on something. Like, you need to figure out ways that you can be better, because I'm aware of it and I know I need to do something about it, but then I just struggle to implement it sometimes. So that's like something I struggle with a lot, just being able to hold myself accountable for the things I know that are my weaknesses. And then that just comes back to being able to implement strategies that work for me.
Yeah, the strategies that work, because they don't always work. Like there are so many different strategies that I think we talk about, or even we don't talk about, like we talk about with our friends and things like that just don't work for us.
Yeah.
Which is so interesting.
Yeah.
I think there was one last time I did a recording for productivity on time management, and we were talking about the Pomodoro method, where it's like you study for 30 minutes, complete head-on studying, then 15 minutes you can do whatever you want. So there was one client that she was working with where you're doing 30 minutes of intense study, then 15 minutes you can watch K-pop, you can watch anime, you can watch whatever you feel like.
Yeah.
And then go back into 30 minutes and keep doing that until it's done.
Yeah.
And I was like, for me, I think that would work, but I get too caught up in the 15 minutes.
Same.
So I wouldn't actually be productive in it. So for me, it's not about the time. I think it's more about the activity itself.
I agree. I'm exactly the same, because when I get to that break, I get really stuck in the mindset of being in like a break, and I'll be like, oh, another 5 minutes. Oh, another 10 minutes.
Yeah, exactly.
You know? Yeah.
It's like 30 minutes, I'll be thinking about what I can do in that 15 minutes.
Yeah, exactly. No, literally. I'll just be taking that 30 minutes to plan what I'm doing in my 15 minutes. It's really bad, but
so bad.
I need help.
I don't know what it is. Like, I actually don't know why that is. And I think that's going to be such a cool thing to sort of figure out throughout the show. And I think a lot of audience members are sort of going to be feeling the same way, because it's a biological thing apparently. So I don't know how that works, but hopefully we have a scientist coming on the show soon.
I'll ask them about it.
Yes. So talking about your own practices, what's a practice that you do to sort of manage stress and also keep a positive attitude for a lot of things?
Something that helps me manage stress a lot is planning. I'm a big planner. Like, the start of every week, I've got my entire week planned out by the hour, which it sounds very tedious, but it just helps me feel like in control. And it is another way that I manage procrastination, because I would struggle to just have my day blank and just tasks sitting there. I would struggle to figure out how to do things. So having it all planned out just really helps me, and it manages my stress, because when I look at that list at the start of my day, I'm like, okay, cool. I know what I need to do and I know how my day is going to look. So that helps me a lot. It's one of my strategies I use.
Okay. Yeah. So how does it go in terms of like even the smallest tedious task as well? Do you have that sort of planned out as well?
Sometimes, even as small as like setting time aside to read a book, like I'll pop that into, or like get groceries or something like that.
Okay,
like,
they don't seem small. No, I'm like talking about the like for example, laundry. Okay, we need to fold laundry for a second. Do you have that sort of planned out too?
that's the thing. That's when I get distracted. So I'll be doing a task and then I'll be like, oh, that needs to be done. Let me go do that.
Yeah.
So that's kind of how I get the smaller things done. When I see them, I'm like, let's go do that. And then I have to push my schedule back. So there is like the pros and cons to doing it by the hour because it helps me stay like focused on what I need to do. But on the other hand, I procrastinate. So it pushes everything back by like 3 hours every day. Yeah.
Because I feel like that's sort of what happens. Like I used to do that hour planner as well. And then I used to just have, all the big things all planned out. Like if I have a meeting, if I have uni, if I have a class, and the travel time that it would take me to get there as well, to know when I need to leave.
Yeah.
But then it came to, laundry put away. I'll do that later.
Yeah.
I'll do it when I get home.
Yeah.
I'll go for a walk when I get back. Like there's nothing that part I don't have planned, which made it impossible to keep track of what I'm supposed to be doing. And then for me, one of the struggles that I faced was when an assignment due dates came on. Like I'll have the due date and know when it's due, but not plan each step that I need to do in order to take it.
Oh, okay, yeah.
So, I need to do this step today, this one tomorrow, this one the next day, and then I can submit it.
Yeah.
So I didn't have that part down. So I just had like the due dates down, which is something that made it even more difficult to go through. So like that was always the thing about me planning, is that it somehow always ended up on my laptop.
Yeah.
Like no matter what, I have like the written journals forever for the first half, like the first 3 months into the year. And then the rest of it will be on like the iCalendar.
Yeah.
Just, I need to do this. I need to get this done. And that's it.
Yeah. Like I think I tried using like journals or like just little pieces of paper writing down what I need to do. And then everything's on my notes now. I've just got like a notes page that's like my daily to do. Yeah. And it just goes on there. It's just so easy because of iCloud, and it syncs onto my phone. It's on my laptop. It's everywhere I need.
Exactly.
Yeah. Just makes it easier.
I know. Just makes it, I think technology's sort of good in that way.
Yeah.
But I feel like we're so reliant on it as well.
Exactly. Yeah. Because I realized the other day, like, if something happens to my phone or my laptop or that notes page, I accidentally delete it. Yeah. It's gone. It's gone. Like my life for the next week is gone. Like I'll have to figure that out again, which stresses me out.
Yes. I know. I feel like we think about that. I think about that far too often. Like the minute that my laptop goes, my whole world is literally like done.
Yeah, literally.
There's nothing else.
Like I was stressing about it so much, I copy and pasted my entire to-do list in an email to myself and I sent it to myself just in case something happens. I do that like once every 2 months, just in case.
Okay.
Like, yeah.
Yeah. Well,
that's how my fear manifests.
Okay. Yeah. I can imagine that happening.
And then I have all these emails to myself, which is really funny.
But how are you going to unlock the emails if your phone goes and laptop goes?
I've thought about that. I will use someone else's device, log into my emails. Okay. It's all been thought up.
Okay, well, that's good. Yeah. You have a spare phone just on the side.
I've got a contingency plan. Yeah. It's all good.
Okay, now we're going deeper into the practice and habits of your own life. What is a practice that you currently do to motivate yourself to keep at a task?
I would say goal setting. Sometimes I notice when, I'm running out of like things to do, or for example, it's getting to the end of like the uni semester and assignments aren't like taking over my life anymore. So I'm like, okay, what can I do? I set some goals for myself, things that I want to do. And that really helps me, it just really helps me stay accountable as well.
Okay.
Yeah.
What are 3 good things that you sort of realized when going about like setting goals and things like that?
It makes you develop a lot of awareness about like your life and different aspects of your life that you want to improve, things that you're doing really well at, and you're able to give yourself a lot of credit for the things you do well, and then you're able to recognize the things that you can improve on. So for example, if you're really great at getting like all your work done and like uni stuff done, but you're not so good at like assigning time for yourself, like to go for a run or I don't know, whatever you like to do in your spare time, then you set that as a goal. So I don't know, next week go for a run, and setting little goals like that. And it also helps with self-improvement. That would be like a second thing. Because I think everyone's always trying to get better, become a better version of themselves, and goal setting is really great for that as well. Yeah.
Okay. Now, to transition into, what are some of the challenges that sort of go through when setting goals? And I know there are a lot more challenges than there are of the good things, but so what are some of the challenges that you can think of?
One major challenge for me would be like being a bit too harsh on myself with goals. Sometimes you want to overachieve and you set the bar a bit too high for yourself. And then when you can't reach that goal because it's too unattainable, you're like, oh, well, I've failed. But it's really just you like being too harsh on yourself. Because sometimes it's so easy to be like, oh, so I haven't gone running for a while. Let's go run a 10K marathon. Like, you know, it just jumps to the extreme and you're like, wait, hold on. Maybe just go for like a 20-minute run and see how you go there. So that's a big challenge. That's probably one of the only challenges I face when it comes to goal setting.
So that whole idea of, okay, I haven't done it in a while, let's go jump right back into it.
Yeah.
Especially when it comes to your body, like running a 10K marathon.
Yeah.
I feel like that's a big thing. When you take a break, like for me, I took a break from the gym for a little bit.
Yeah.
Just because the last week of uni, I don't really want to have to think about uni while I'm at the gym. So I took a break. And then I go back into it and I'm pushing up all the classes that I used to sign myself up for, as if that I can still do it at the same level that I used to do it at.
Yeah.
And then the next day, my body was just like in utter pain.
Yeah.
Every part of me was just sore. Everything was just not working well. And I felt really bad to the point that I pushed my body to do things that it wasn't ready to do. So it's very interesting to see how much of the goals that you set for yourself are just not really applying to how you can do it.
Exactly. Yeah, because you'll think of yourself as that person who could go to the gym and do all those classes like you used to, but you haven't accounted for the fact that you've taken time for yourself to focus on other things.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah. So in terms of that, how often do you usually practice the goal setting? You said that you do it once a week or every week?
I do try to do it every week, but when I do it every week, it's more just like little goals, like tiny little things, like read a few more chapters of my book. So I'll set smaller goals for myself, especially when I'm really busy. So during the semester, I'm so busy with stuff. So I'm not setting myself massive goals, just little things I know I can work towards and I can just slot in here and there, especially when I'm planning like my week out. Always make sure I put in one little thing that I can do.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Now, how do you find the time to set all these goals or to even think about the goals that you do want to go through?
I think it's more just, I'll just be going about my day and I'll have this sudden realization, oh, like you haven't been doing much of this, or I'll be doing something and it just triggers a thought in my mind about something that I want to do more of, or someone will tell me about their trip to Europe and I'll be like, I want to go on a trip now. So like things like that. Yeah.
And how do you separate that sort of the small goals to like the bigger goal? Like, for example, the trip to Europe is not something you want to do the next week. It takes a while to sort of plan that out and go through that. So how do you separate those little goals that you do each week and the bigger goal that you sort of have for like the end of the season or things like that?
Yeah, so for like a little goal with reading, I know that's not really hard. Like I can just put that in anywhere. But with like, for example, planning a trip or running a marathon or something like that, I would write it down in like a little list of like things or like goals that I have for myself. And then when I get time, I'll think about how I can plan them out. But also writing them down just gives me time to let it sit in my mind, because sometimes I get excited about something. I'm like, let's do this right now. And then 2 weeks passes and I'm like, okay, I'm over that. So it's also about determining what's authentic to me. Yeah.
That's really, I like that authentic to you phrase. I think that's such a good way to sort of describe how you want to go about your day, because it's not going to be like everyone else wants to do. It's not going to be like a whole group thing, but it's just what's pretty much authentic to you.
Yeah, exactly, because we're so caught up in this like trend culture, and like if someone's doing something, you want to be doing it too. And I really try not to like engage in that, but sometimes like FOMO just runs through my blood. And I have a fear of missing out on doing things, but then I have to remind myself that you can't do everything. And
especially when you've got responsibilities as well. Like as you get older, those responsibilities kick in. And you're like, I can't go to every concert that sort of comes about. Can't go to every place that I want to go to.
Exactly.
So how do you think that goal setting has really impacted your own productivity as well as your understanding into how life goes?
I would say that it helps me like keep a bit of like progress on my life and just make note of how I'm like progressing and how I'm working through things in my life, because sometimes like reflection is a big part of my life and that coincides with like the planning I do. So if a week goes by and I've done all the things in my like to-do list, I'll like reflect about it, and it's also something I can look back on, and it just really helps me sort of tie in just a bit of self-reflection and self-evaluation into like how goal setting fits into my life as well. Okay. So yeah, it's just all to help me and like help my future self is the kind of mindset I have on goal setting. Yeah,
I like the idea of goal setting. I feel like it's such a hard thing to keep at and to sort of have those goals. I mean, it's different, like small goals here and there, but like having the big goals and small goals, I feel it's easy to have big goals. Yeah. It's harder to have small goals.
Yeah, exactly.
Because there's some things that you think of every day, like reading a book, you don't really consider it a goal. A lot of people don't usually consider it a goal. They're like, okay, it's something that I can get to if I have the time, but I'm not going to like set up as something that I aim to achieve.
Yeah.
Because like reading a book, I can start it the week after.
Yeah, exactly. And I feel like sometimes it's really hard to reward yourself or feel like you deserve to be rewarded for doing the small things. But I think that's also why it's really important, because if reading isn't something you normally do, but you're telling yourself like to read something, then I think that's you pushing yourself out of your comfort zone, and you deserve to be rewarded for that, even though it's a small goal to read like 2 chapters of a book or 2 pages of a book, you know?
Yeah. Okay, well, I'm screenshotting that little section and keeping that as a mantra, because I feel like, yeah, that's such a good way of thinking about it. Like, it's so hard it's putting yourself out of your comfort zone, something you wouldn't do every week, and you should be rewarded for that.
Exactly, yeah.
So that is, okay, I am keeping that as my personal motivator now.
Glad I've helped.
Okay, so to sum up this sort of episode and sort of talk about you a little bit more, what's one thing that you really want to gain out of taking over the show and out of talking about productivity?
Yeah, I think like we're having a conversation about productivity now, and it's been really great. And I want to be able to have more conversations about this. I think sitting down with professionals and experts and being able to sustain like a conversation about different topics on productivity, like I really want to be able to do that and have more meaningful conversations. And I think this is really going to help with that.
Yeah, no, I'm really glad. And I can't wait to see how you take the show on and how you sort of make it your own. This is such an interesting show for me to take over, and it's been so great to hold it for you while you get ready. And I am really glad to just pass on the torch now and get you to take it, and I can get back to my 2 shows full time. But yeah, thank you so much, Joanna, for sort of introducing yourself and getting to know the audience, for the audience to get to know you a little bit more. And I cannot wait to see you take over the show in the next few weeks or the next episode, and we'll see you again.
Great. Thank you so much.
Seat. You'll be in this side.
Bit nervous, but I'm so excited too.
No, you'll do fine. Trust me. You're really good at talking.
Oh, stop. Thank you.
All right. So guys, Joanna will see you guys in the next episode, and we can't wait to get to know you.
You have been listening to Work in Progress, the Personal Productivity Science Insights podcast produced by the Life Management Science Labs. Listen to episodes from LMSL's 10 Life Management Perspectives on Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Spotify, YouTube, or other podcasting apps on your smartphone. If you enjoyed this episode, please consider rating our show, sharing it, and subscribing to our channel, as it helps others find us and us grow to bring you more quality resources. More of our work can be found on our website at pp.lmsl.net, where you can join our movement. I'm Tia Harmer. Thanks for tuning in.